This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a review of Wanda Vision episode 9, the series finale. Okay, a lot of Avengers type fighting scenes going on. Of course, they have a build up to Vision fighting White Vision, and a build up to, and it's sort of in the background and in the foreground, and Wanda fighting Agatha in a cat fight that should have been the cat fight from shows such as Deep Space Nine. It wasn't. It was more of a charmed thing. A little bit of Bewitched. I don't think Bewitched ever did a Marvel type space fight. Yeah, a lot of that was probably, well, obviously CG. They weren't flying for real. So yeah, there's a lot of this going in the background thing. They begin the raid on the anomaly. The army guys. We find out the army guys. The main army guy is bad, and that he's built a Vision that doesn't have the Vision's memories to destroy Vision. Ooh, which is like the evil clone trying to destroy you type of thing. Lore, or the clone, or whatnot, or the evil twin. The evil twin is white. That's funny. But apparently that is from the comic books. Vision was reborn, all of the White Vision, later on. But in terms of the comic code and that history of that, it was more like the original Vision concept was kind of offensive, and they changed it. They made him like not sort of Hindi like. They changed that. That's why they changed. But the comic books are all like no, they made him different. Also, they were borrowing liberally from Lord of the Rings, the cartoon and the books, long before the movies. See that the Gandalf would come back as the White Gandalf after he fought the Balrog. He comes back as the White Gandalf. So that goes back to Lord of the Rings. There are probably other concepts where that's happened in literature. I think Shakespeare did something similar in one of those. The ghost that comes back, and Dickens did something similar with ghostly apparitions and whatnot. But so it's been around for ages. But the idea that the hero comes back as the glorious knight of glowing things, also from the Bible. It goes back to the Bible. Jesus coming back as a glowing entity. It goes back to the Bible. So it goes way back. And in other cultures as well. So yeah, I'm getting all phased out, but it's kind of cool looking, so I go with it. Yeah, like in the show. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the light monitor there. Yeah, so we have, what is going on with that? Why am I green? Wow. So hold on a minute here. A little better. Still look like I'm in the show. Well, that's fine. Let's just leave it. I'm in the show, so, yeah, it's a simulation. Obviously, you know that from the other episodes. The villain is doing the classic trope, going back to James Bond, back in the day, and even further back. Actually, partly biblical too. The trope of the villain who explains everything to the hero before he's going to take him out is very similar to the actions of Pontius Pilate and you know, in the Bible. So and the Pharisees explaining what they're going to do so that he comes back. Yeah. So James Bond, they would do that a lot. The villain would be the last act. He would go, "Haha, Bond, I've got you now. I'm going to explain my entire evil plan to you." And then James Bond gets him. So that's kind of what happened here with Wanda and her. The last episode was spent explaining to the hero how to defeat the villain. And that comes to the fore in the story. Spoilers. See it. It did crash earlier. If you noticed, everybody was watching it. It's 9 episode series. With clearly the missing child on the carton thing was clearly a red herring. The kids were actually not really there, and neither was Vision. I thought she had his hand, but I guess it was his finger. I thought it was his hand, his finger. She also had taken his memories from the Mind Stone somehow with her powers. And when Vision is fighting with White Vision, at one point they end up in a library, and yeah, the reason the character looks offensive is that he resembles a Vishnu type of god character, Vishnu and Krishna mixed together, Indian characters from the lore, that lore, without knowing anything about it. So he's got like the chakra in the middle of his head. He's got sort of the very 70s powers and looks kind of like that. I know in the Marvel Comics version they made him look a little better, but in this version they're basically saying Red Indian man with a chakra in the middle of his head, and he's running around with powers from his mind. It's like, that's a little iffy. I mean, sure, he's a superhero, it's fine, but that's why they changed it. That's the reason. Yeah, because making him literally some kind of envision of the Vishnu and Buddha together is a little offensive, probably to the Vishnu and to the Buddha. They're probably like, hey, Jains and Sikhs, you can't do that. Anyways, I got no pony in the race. I read the Bible, so I don't know. Other than there was a lot of Buddha stuff from the Jung Swan, the martial art training for 18 years. There was a lot of stuff ingrained in that too. The idea of the third eye, ooh, and all that stuff is very, very much the 60s and 70s, very much the hippie movement. These boomers grew up to be hippies, and they were born in the 40s. They grew up to be, the hippies were in the 60s. By the time they were in their 20s, they were like, dude, auras and chakras, yay, crystals. That's fine, but it's pagan. But it's also these other groups, and it's a little odd. And that's why they changed it in the comic book. But they or a version of why they changed it in the comic book, let's say. Yeah, there was the Hays Code and all that a little earlier, but yeah. But in the 70s, they also dumbed it down. I mean, they had like Batman in the 60s. The definitive Batman was the silly campy one, where everything was sort of TV audience. Oh yeah. So, anyway, so yeah, Wanda Vision. So there you go. That's pretty much it, I think. Big cat fight, similar to the Deep Space Nine finale, but can't connect it to that because Deep Space Nine finale was not. Yeah. It's not related to that. I don't think they were going for Star Trek. Although they were a little bit, because the black lady that was captured by Quicksilver, Rambo. Quicksilver's name is Boner. But Boner. They make a boner joke. That's like a fart joke at one point. I was like, that's nicely juvenile. Yeah, look for the Vision fart joke in there. It sounded very similar to a raspberry happens at one point. I think it's supposed to be knocking something over, but it's a raspberry. It's like a Bronx cheer going on. Which is weird because it's all CG at that point when they were fighting in the library. They talk about the ship of Perseus, which got rebuilt over and over. The ship of the ancient Greeks got rebuilt over and over. Is it the same ship? Once it gets rebuilt over and over, so they threw in a bunch of Greek stuff in there just to throw you off. They should have. And the rune gag. I won't give that away. You can watch that. And the other stuff, and sure. WandaVision Season 9. And I don't want to ramble on about the making of it necessarily because it wasn't one of mine, although the zombie witch appearing person did look a little like Mark's cards that appeared at one point. I don't think it was. And some of the catfight scene was probably inspired by many discussions over the years about the really bad Deep Space Nine finale, which did not have Kira and Kaiwin fight. So they decided, okay, main strongest female character gets to fight strongest female villain character in this, because we're going to fix that. We're going to make them both fight. And I won't give away the theater ending either. There's a theater ending. Although the weird Robotech Cabin Mountains ending made people think that it's in the Mountains of Madness, Doctor Strange 2, but it's not. So yeah, there's a cabin scene. So wait for the post-credit sequence. It's more like the scene in Robotech, the Love Live Alive, So I won't give that away. But in Robotech it didn't work because it didn't make sense for those characters to do that. But in this one it does make sense for the character to go where she did. Yeah, so I won't give it away. You'll have to watch it. It does make sense in her case because she's actually like grieving. It's about grief. The whole series is about grief and misery and going through stages of grief. That was cool. And for some reason, yeah, the color on this camera has gone. Yeah, yeah, and I am gray, which is weird. I am the Vision, it turns out. Actually, I would be the evil emperor. Star Wars, Disney, why not? This thing is from, Star Wars. This is. Yeah, yes. That's what this is. I put it on. It's the premiere of the Star Wars thing. It's actually the Shubalaffa slash Werewolf Fuzzy Face slash Emperor slash costume top of it. Anyways, yeah.